With more and more vehicles coming from the factory with radios that have features like being able to play digital music files and having Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, does it still make sense to upgrade to an aftermarket head unit if we can? I say yes, but there are definitely some do's that you want to consider and some don'ts that you want to avoid, especially with all the advancements in head unit technology. I'm Mark, welcome to CarAudioFabrication, the show where together we learn how to master car audio and how to design, build, and install our dream car audio system. Let's talk my opinion on do's and don'ts for upgrading our radio in today's day and age. So the first do make sure that the aftermarket head unit is going to fit and be compatible with your vehicle. I wanted to get this out of the way first because a lot of you guys that have started watching the channel are guys that did car audio 10, 15 years ago and are starting to get back into it, but it's a big thing to understand that with newer vehicles, a lot of times we have climate controls, we have other computer controlled features for the vehicle built into the factory head unit, so it can't always just be easily replaced. We definitely want to make sure an aftermarket head unit is compatible with our vehicle, and this is the perfect segue to our monthly channel sponsor, Crutchfield. On the Crutchfield website, you enter the year, make, and model of your vehicle, and then you can quickly get an idea what is actually compatible with your vehicle. Not only that, Crutchfield has done a ton of research to determine exactly what will also fit in your vehicle because different head units are different sizes. In my opinion, Crutchfield is the best website for doing your research on when it comes to making this upgrade. I actually used them for a long time before they were ever a sponsor of the channel, before this channel even existed. If you guys want to check them out, you can also take advantage of a special offer for car audio fabrication fans at the link here on screen or down in the video description. Next up, a don't. Don't think that your new head unit has to have every source built in imaginable. The reason I mention this is I feel like CDs are becoming a thing of the past, and I think a lot of people think if I upgrade my head unit, it has to have a CD player. But the thing is, I can't even tell you the last time I've used a CD. The reason it can be advantageous to pick a new head unit that does not have a CD player built in is a lot of times the actual depth of the head unit itself in the dash is a lot more shallow. This can be a great thing when it comes to installing the radio because a lot of times with all these new harnesses that we need to add in order to retain things like our steering wheel controls and interface with the vehicle properly, those harnesses can take up quite a bit of room. So rather than having to kind of jam everything in there and have a super tight fit, that added room can be really nice to have. Another thing is with the CD player, you're going to have moving parts that actually take the CD in and out. And when you get rid of the CD player, you no longer have moving parts. In my opinion, it just seems like a new digital head unit that is only playing digital files will last a lot longer. So the next don't for picking a new head unit, don't fall for deals that seem too good to be true. I mention this because there seems to be an absolute frenzy of new companies coming along that are making Android-based head units that are marketed as being a perfect solution for your exact vehicle. In my opinion, and from what I've heard from a lot of different car audio industry veterans, a lot of these Android-based head units just aren't very good quality. It might be true, they might have a ton of features, but a lot of them seem to be very slow. A lot of them seem to have issues where they completely lock up. They seem to be slow on booting. There seems to be a lot more issues with buying these up-and-coming brands than buying from brands that are well known and established. In my personal experience, I've had good luck with manufacturers like Pioneer, Alpine, JVC, Sony, and Kenwood. Again, I'm just giving you guys my opinion, but when it comes to aftermarket head units, I really truly believe that you do get what you pay for. Next up, a do. Do make sure that your new head unit has the outputs that you want to use. Many times when we're upgrading our car audio system, we're going to be adding things like additional amplifiers. So that means that we might want some outputs, some RCA signal outputs to send the signal from our head unit to our amplifier. To me, the standard is you want to have fronts, rears, and subwoofer outputs at minimum. But there is another very important output that I really wish more manufacturers would get on board with using, and that is using an optical output. The reason for this is we're seeing more and more amplifiers and DSPs that have an optical input into them, and having a single connection going from your aftermarket head unit to a DSP or an amplifier That's something that to me is very alluring. Not only is it only one connection, it is also a significantly better connection. Staying in the digital domain between our source unit and our DSP or amplifier is something that is very, very beneficial for sound quality. Like I said though, unfortunately there's not very many head units that have this output. There is currently one from Sony, and another company that has caught my eye is called Stinger. They've recently released what is called the Elev 8 and High 10. Both of these head units are digital head units that offer a much larger screen size, more on that shortly, but they also have that optical output. So again, something to look out for and consider. The next do make sure that you like the interface of the new aftermarket head unit. You have to like the way that the menus are organized, you have to like the way that it looks, but how can you figure this out before you purchase? Well, in today's day and age of having this platform right here, YouTube, there are always plenty of different options for searching on YouTube. You can also, again, check out Crutchfield. Crutchfield has a lot of different videos exploring and showing the details of each of the different head units that they sell. The next definitely do get an aftermarket head unit that has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay built in. If your car came from the factory with that functionality, that is great. You already know how awesome it is, but there are still a lot of new cars coming out that don't have that functionality, and it is really, really nice to have the ability to easily control all the functions on your phone, to be able to text message people by using your voice, to being able to use your phone's map functionality for navigation, and of course being able to easily make and answer calls. It's definitely a functionality you want to have, but we're talking about new technology as well. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, they've been around for a couple years now. Something that I definitely recommend you look out for is the wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. With wireless, you no longer have to mess around with plugging that plug into your phone every single time that you get into your car. Simply get in your car, start it up, it makes the connection with your phone, and you are good to go. This of course gives you the ability to use Siri and Google Assistant, and there's also head units out there that give you the compatibility of using Amazon's Alexa. Another phone connectivity type feature that you do want to pay attention to is some of these aftermarket head units now have dual Bluetooth, or even more than 2 different phones can be connected at a time. And the reason that this is really nice, let's say that you and your significant other are in the vehicle, both your phones are in the vehicle, both can easily be connected and switch between for calls or for controlling the audio and all those different features. Next up, we have another do consider the options for how your head unit can match the interior of your vehicle. If you've watched my other videos, you know that a lot of times when installing an aftermarket system into the car, I like the challenge of keeping things looking so integrated that you can't even tell that they're aftermarket. An easy feature to keep an eye out for to make it look like your aftermarket head unit belongs in your vehicle is look for head units that have the ability to change the colors of all of the different electronic buttons on the screen. By being able to change the LED color of those buttons, by being able to change the background on a larger double din screen, this is nice and advantageous, makes it look like it fits in the car. Now with that said, what if you have an old classic car that you want to update? There's options for that as well. There is a brand called Retro Sound that I find very interesting because not only do these look like classic radios, they give us the ability to play MP3 and other digital format files, and they also give us phone connectivity for Bluetooth calls and that sort of thing. Next up is a don't. Don't think that you're limited in the size of screen that you can have for your new aftermarket radio. If you guys are familiar, a lot of times there's what's called a single DIN, which is about this size rectangle, and then a double DIN, which is this size of head unit. Even if you only do have that single DIN size opening, there are a lot of new head units on the market that give you a very large floating screen. Because us humans are becoming so used to big screens being a part of our everyday life, I feel like it kind of fits in a lot of cars to have this cool floating futuristic looking screen. Obviously it depends on the look you're going for. Even with the double DIN size, you can still get a much larger screen. Definitely something to consider. Another do consider your security options for upgrading your head unit. And what I mean by that is back in the day, we know that a lot of aftermarket head units, they had a detachable screen, and that is still the case. There are still plenty of options out there that give us that detachable screen. So if we're in a questionable area and we just want to make sure that we reduce the likelihood of our car being broken into, easily pop off that screen and take it with us, and we are good to go. So there we have it, my friends. Those are my do's and don'ts for upgrading to an aftermarket head unit in 2020. Don't forget, next time you want to upgrade your car audio system, or maybe you're looking for the right head unit for you, definitely check out show sponsor Crutchfield at the link here on screen or down in the video description. A special thanks to them, along with Mike, Ron, Ali, Jerry, Marcos, William, and the rest of the Patreon membership team. A big thanks to all those guys for making these videos possible, and as always, thank you for watching.